Dipti Gallant is here for a look at the main stories in the papers. Hello to you, Dipti.
Hi, Rochelle.
Let's start with the Chinese President Xi Jinping and, of course, his Africa tour.
And that tour that began with his first trip to Senegal on the weekend, where he met with Macky Sall, the Senegalese president, in what was the first Chinese state visit to the country in nearly a decade. The trip aiming to boost contacts and cooperation and trade deals and so forth, as you see on the front page of the China Daily there. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. That's what President Xi has said. China, of course, is now the largest source of foreign investment on the African continent. And in today's editorial, the China Daily takes to task those critics from the West who accuse China of indebting African nations to them. For the China Daily, those comments are nothing but, quote, alarmist sentiment.
Right, what is the African press saying about this visit then?
Well, we're looking at a Rwandan paper, the New Times, because indeed President Xi's trip will take him to Rwanda today, then South Africa, and ending with the Mauritius Islands. There's a lot of anticipation ahead of his trip to Rwanda, or his meetings in Rwanda, with the two countries expected to sign several deals, including across a whole host of topics, including health, mining, trade, visa exemptions, and law enforcement. For the New Times editors, they say that Rwandan farmers, manufacturers, and businesses should, quote, make the most of the Chinese market.
All right, we're here in France today. There's, of course, a lot of focus on the Interior Minister, Gérard Collomb. He's currently undergoing a hearing at the National Assembly.
Well, he's facing a grilling, of course, over that video that surfaced of Emmanuel Macron's top bodyguard, Alexandre Benalla, beating a protester during a Paris rally last May. Now, Collomb, of course, is being grilled. Libération's front page, you see there, l'État tétanisé, a state in shock, while Le Parisien, another daily here in France, warns of a, quote, high-risk week ahead for Macron and his government.
Right, well, the communist paper L'Humanité has some particularly scathing words for this.
L'Humanité is really, really critical after the scandal. On the front page, the communist paper says it's a scandal that has revealed the, quote, downward spiral of a hyper-presidency or a super-controlled presidency. The paper almost reveling in the scandal, saying, I quote, it brings to light the arrogance of a government that locks up democracy and protects its own. The king has been left naked, the editors say in reference to Emmanuel Macron. It's also warranted an editorial from the Lebanese newspaper L'Orient Le Jour, a French-language daily over there. The paper says Emmanuel Macron has built a carefully controlled image, but he can no longer hide behind this cloak of invisibility. Macron, I quote, must quickly get his hands dirty, face the mounting criticism from the opposition, and explain himself.
All right, well, in other world news, Dipsy, the retirement of Germany's star player Mesut Ozil has sparked accusations of racism in football. Tell us more about that.
Well, those accusations coming from Mesut Ozil himself, the German number 10, who is of Turkish background, has announced his retirement from the national team. It comes after he posted this picture that you see here of him posing with the Turkish president Recep Tayyip Erdogan during a rally by the Turkish leader to Germany a few months ago. Der Tagesspiegel, a German paper, their editors there say, well, it was Ozil's right to post the picture, but it's also our right to criticize him for the content. But it's really sparked a question of whether sports players can be political or indeed can they be apolitical, something that the paper says to think such a photo could be apolitical is just naive on Ozil's part.
Right, what are the opinion pages saying about this then?
Well, you have the German tabloid Bild that's pretty harsh towards Ozil. Indeed, Özil has accused the German Football Federation of racism, of scapegoating him for Germany's dismal World Cup campaign. In a statement, he even said, I quote, I'm German when we win and I'm an immigrant when we lose. Now, for the tabloid Bild, that claim is, quote, pure self-pity and complete nonsense invented by Özil to portray himself as a victim of racial injustice. The Frankfurter Allgemeine, another paper, is pretty critical. They're a bit more restrained in their commentary, saying Özil has overstepped his mark and that he could be setting a bad precedent for young German Turks who may look up to him. He is getting some support, though, from the paper Die Zeit. With Ozil's departure, the populists have won. That's what this writer says here, slamming the German Football Federation for remaining silent while everyone was criticizing Ozil when they should have been protecting him.
All right, well, finally, if you are hoping to catch a glimpse of France's World Cup winning footballers, you've got a guide for where they're hanging out this summer.
That's right. If you want to kind of be a stalker and sort of find out where you can accidentally, on purpose, bump into a French footballer, well, this is a guide. It's in Le Parisien newspaper. It's got all the different holiday snaps from all the French footballers and where they're partying, so we can tell you where they're going. Paul Pogba, Adil Rami, Samuel Umtiti and Steven Zonzi are heading for the States. Particularly, they've been spotted in Hollywood. Coach Didier Deschamps, he's headed more locally. He's holidaying in Saint-Tropez, while Antoine Griezmann is staying at home in his hometown of Macon. Apparently, he's attending a wedding there. As for the youngest World Cup winner, Kylian Mbappe, well, he is soaking up the sun in Ibiza.
OK, well, wherever they are, well-deserved holidays for Les Bleus. They've worked hard enough this year. You are, though, up to date. Thank you very much for the roundup of the papers. And don't forget, if you do want to see more, why not go onto our website at france24.com.